Helen Griffin here with another, well, is it a cast on? I'm not sure. The reason I ask is, when does a cast on cross over and become an edging? In my opinion, a cast on crosses over and becomes an edging when row 1 and 2 are involved in creating the cast on effect. And in this cast on, that's the case. I'm going to do a 2-color cast on, and in spite of what I'm doing, yellow is our main color and C is our contrasting color. And while I normally, when doing a long tail cast on, and this cast on is based on a long tail cast on, there's our tail, pretty long, longer actually than it needs to be. When our normally when I started a long tail cast on, I don't start with a slip knot, but in this case it really is helpful to start. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my contrasting color and I'm going to give it even a longer tail, but this time I'm just going to do a twist. So I can do a twist, and the reason I can do a twist is I'm going to make a second stitch. So I have 3 stitches. Now here's where it gets interesting. I'm going to bind off one of these 2 stitches, and I do it with my fingers because I think it's more convenient than picking up a needle and doing it. So now I have 1 stitch of white and 1 stitch. Avoid tightening this stitch. I know it looks loose. Don't avoid the temptation to tighten it. Now here's where it gets interesting. I'm going to stick my fingers through and pull the yellow between these 2 threads, and I'm going to do a standard long tail. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pull these 2 threads through, and I'm going to do a standard long tail, a second standard long tail, and now once again with my fingers, and as I say, if you prefer to do it with a needle, this would, I don't happen to have one, but this cast on will probably really work great if you did it on a long crochet hook like used for Tunisia knitting, because you could pull the 1 stitch through the other fairly readily. And again, I'm going to spread the contrasting color stitches through, pull the main color through, make a single long tail, pull through, and that's one of the characteristics that's important, is pulling the yarns through the previous yarns. And again, with the contrasting color, make 2 and bind off 1. So pull that one over, avoid the temptation to tighten up, spread the yarns, pull them through, position for long tail, make 1. Contrasting color, cast on 2, bind 1 off by pulling the first stitch over the second, avoid the temptation to snug it up. And that's one of the things that many times a 2-color cast on can be too tight. I always say it gives you twice the opportunity to over tighten the long tail, and since over tightening long tail is an issue with almost everyone, this is twice the opportunity to make it tighter, and we want to avoid that because what we really want is a loose and stretchy cast on. I'm going to just do 1 more set, so pull through, do a long tail. Now because of this pulling through, one of the characteristics of this cast on is you get these twists and you get these tangled ups. So this cast on's a real drag to do for a big cast on. It can be done, and it's a beautiful edge, but if you're doing a cast on of a lot of stitches, be prepared that occasionally you're going to have to stop and untangle the yarns. Oops, let's just do this again. We only want to take the peachy color, the salmon color, and then once again the salmon color gets split. We're going to avoid the temptation to over tighten it. The yellow gets pulled through the center, and we do a standard long tail cast on. I'm going to stop here for a moment just to show you that you have this nice chain because of the pull through. The edge has this nice spiral almost. I don't know. It's a very pretty edge, and it continues on the back because of the braid. So both sides of this cast on are kind of attractive. This looks like a knit stitch. This looks like a purl, and it looks like a purl on the back, which is kind of interesting. So you get something that's kind of interesting. I'm going to stop the clip because it's already long, do some more of the cast on, and show you how to proceed in the second half of this video with row 1 and 2, and see how what you do after this cast on is complete changes its look completely.